This is Dan French here with LV Home Experts, the show in studio with Chakits Krulsawat with Simply Vegas, and also in studio with Joey Andron, also from Simply Vegas. And it's Joey Day. We're going to talk to Joey. Joey, what's happening, man? How's the family? How you doing today,
buddy? It's good, baby. It's good.
You're loving it, huh?
I love
Hey,
it.
what did you do before real estate? What were you at, man? What did you do? You said, what were you doing before?
DJ.
You were a DJ,
I was
right?
a DJ
Man.
in Miami Beach.
Wow.
Yeah, DJ.
Dang. Did you really get things like moving or what? I mean,
Oh, man, it was
your
the
name?
best. Yeah, I did it for 8 years.
Everybody
on
started
Miami
to
Beach,
get your name?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Dude, you must have been a playboy.
Oh, dude, you have no idea.
Hey, he's married, so we can't be talking about this.
Your wife isn't listening, right?
Yeah. But did you know Joey, he is a cyclist.
Oh, are you, Joey?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you cycle today?
No.
No.
How do you think he got here? You need a ride? Need a lift?
Where do you cycle, man? You go like, you know what I used to do is I used to go mountain bike riding.
Yeah, that's something I want to get into.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy because
I just bought one.
yeah.
Did you really?
Did you go off road or what'd you do with it?
Not yet. I'm still waiting on you. You said you were going to buy
Off-road
one.
with it.
Well, I'll tell you. Where do you go ride at? You ride a street bike?
Yeah.
Okay.
I ride a Canyon road bike.
Like a 10-speed? No.
It's a 12-speed carbon. Yeah. It's got a little basket in the front.
So we ride on the handlebars?
No, I'll tell you what, though, that's probably one of the best things about living in Las Vegas is the outdoors, man. Like, you can just get into it, whatever you want to do, right? But I live in Inspirada.
Okay.
So I'll ride from Inspirada and go all the way out through the Red Rock Loop, which is like 67 miles.
A lot of people ride out there, right? I always see a lot of
Beautiful.
people.
It's my favorite ride out here.
Really?
Look, I'm gonna put something together. You know, I see a lot of people trying to hike. There's a lot of hiking spots around Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm gonna put something together because I'm really curious. I don't know how many places there are, but I went right around, you know, where you go up Charleston and then you come around Red Rock.
Yeah.
If you keep going around, it goes into a circle. You end up at Blue Diamond, but there's like 4 or 5 places there that you can go hiking.
Yeah, Calico Basin's amazing. It's not too difficult. I mean, you can get difficult if you want to, but there's just really nice walking trails. You're climbing over some rocks, and
They got a rookie trail.
Hey,
that is the rookie trail.
there's this place called Turtlehead Peak. So we walked up it, actually hiked up it, and it was pretty tough on the terrain. It was probably like 4 hours. And I remember we took this real big buff dude, right? He was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm in training. I'm in UFC. I was like, all right, let's do this. This guy had like weights on his legs, right? And like the chest. And this dude was buff. And, he was doing it. By the time we were like into it for like 2 hours, this guy was peeling this stuff off his ankles and just like leaving it. He was like, forget this, bro.
Stashing it.
I'll tell you, dude, you know, I was out and there's a lot of people out. You know, I went over there to check it out the other day and, you know, a lot of people are starting to hike, you know, but I was driving there before, like when COVID, there was nothing going on. Everything was blocked off. So I think everybody in the outdoor life here, I think is pretty amazing. You know, there's not really much you can't do. It does get too hot, but I mean, you got the sites, you know, down by Bonnie Springs or Old Bonnie Springs, you know, all that down there. If you want to go out and do just a nice, you know, cruise, you know, not just cruising the strip, there's some nice views out there.
Yeah, you
man.
go to Angel Falls, which is really nice. When the snow runs off, you can see the waterfall.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool up there.
So anyways, let's go back. We were talking about the real estate side of it. Chuck, first off, if people want to get a hold of us, Chuck, what's that number again?
702-257-5396. Again, that number is 702-257-5396.
Okay, so Joey, let's talk about a couple things. So we were talking about some unrealistic people out there trying to make offers, and we want to get right back into talking about what's happening with this whole COVID and forbearance thing and all this stuff that's gone on. Are you still seeing caution from people about buying? Like, what is the questions you typically get?
So I'm finding a lot of people that are, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but there's a good amount of people that are concerned about what's going to happen towards the end of the year, right? They're like, you know, after this forbearance happens, now reality sets in. Are they going back to work? After that money's cut off, are they going to be foreclosed on?
Right.
Is there going to be a flood of foreclosures that are going to hit the market?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's going to take place because if you take a look at Freddie and Fannie Mae, I think they almost hold, like 40% of all loans right now? It's like, I don't think the federal government is going to want our market to crash,
I don't think so either.
No, I think they're going to do everything they can to sustain it, you know, and I think that's where we're at. But I think a lot of people still think that, it's doom and gloom and we don't know what's going to happen. And so you wait to the end of the year. Maybe they think all this dust is going to settle and then they're going to be able to buy a home. But the biggest thing we always get is markets going to depreciate? Are they the house prices? I get text messages, emails, questions all the time. When is the market going to start going the other direction and go down? And I have no idea. But
I don't have an idea either. But I'll tell you what, the way this market is right now and how our phones are ringing off the hook and now these buyers are coming in, I don't see it slowing down. I don't see that. We did have a slowdown last month. Yeah. Right. I mean, we saw the reason why we have 3.2 months of inventory is because people canceled their listings. Yeah. They didn't know what was going to happen. And they have a ton of equity in their home. They're not in a distressed situation where they have to sell. It's a fire sale. They just pulled back. Yeah. So now, you see these people, now things are starting to pick up. And I think, like I said, it's like a whiplash. Yeah. Our market's just going to take off again. So I think it's strong. Once that forbearance runs out, people are already going back to work. Yeah. And a lot of these people, you see these corporations that, let people work from home, and now they're seeing that people are productive. Yeah. Now they have satellite offices. They can work from anywhere.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's talk about, some people listen to the show, and I think they get a lot of good information, and some people are a little biased that maybe they think that the market is still going to have some issues. And they might also think that, listening to us, we're a little biased that, hey, everything is going to keep going. But you guys are living in it. You're in the trenches. Yeah. So, I mean, we're not just giving you this information because we want you to, be all happy and everybody's buying a home. Look, everybody doesn't go out and buy a home, but we have a high volume of people still interested and still making offers. And we just go off of what the experience.
What's going on right now. Yeah.
And so it's just really about the trenches. If it was going the other direction, we'd come on here and say, hey, it's just not working out, but, but at the end of the day, everybody's buying still. Sure. I see it all the time. I mean, you guys do a ton of new homes, right?
Pretty much. That's pretty much our business is new homes. And I think the reason why is because, again, a lot of our clients are from out of state, and everybody wants something that's brand new. Because on the resale side, you can't really get everything that you want, but on a brand new home, you can with all the options that you can pick and choose from.
Plus, also, let's talk about the price difference. You look at if somebody's going out and buying an existing home right now, and because the prices are really not much different than, say, buying a new home. Now, there's some custom homes out there that run you pretty high, right? 800 to $1 million.
Well, it just really depends on what price point you're looking at. I mean, if you're looking at the price point 350 and below, you're pretty much out of the market at this time. Okay. But then if you're looking around, like, let's say if we did Summerlin, if you were going to buy a brand new home in Summerlin, it's probably going to cost you about $500,000. If you bought a resale, it'd be about $450,000. Got it. Yeah. So, I mean, you do have that option, but now it just comes down to, if you bought a resale home, does it have all the things that you want? If it does, then go for it. If not, right, you only got 6 out of 10, but on a brand new home, you're willing to, pay $50,000 more. You're going to live there for another 10, 15, or 20 years, or you're going to retire there, then maybe that's something that you want to move forward with.
So there's not a huge price difference between buying, let's say, a new home versus, like there's a price point. You talked about it, $450,000. Yeah. Okay. So if you bought a home at $550,000, is there really, yes, it's newer, but let's say the house at $450,000 is about 5-10 years old. Is there really a huge difference? Obviously, the new home is more desirable, but is there a huge difference? So people are looking at it going, well, why am I going to spend $450,000 if I can get this for $550,000 and I'm just going to wait and I'm going to try to get a new home? Is that kind of what's happening in the market?
Well, it's kind of hard to predict that, and here's the reason why, because it just depends on the neighborhood. Sometimes you may run across that situation where you get an older home, but you get more of a bigger square footage. It really does come with a pool, but sometimes you can get a smaller home, and it really depends on that neighborhood. Like Summerlin is pretty much neck to neck, so you have to look at both sides. There's not one answer that fits, everything. So.
Go ahead. Yeah, when you're looking like the Enterprise area or like in the Henderson area, and you're looking at the resale homes, and a lot of people want that larger square footage. Yeah, resale is definitely the way to go. Yeah, for the price per square foot of what you're getting, larger bedrooms, larger great rooms. Yeah, in the newer homes, they've kind of gone to that family room style or open concept, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or 2.5 bath.
That's like if you went out to the Northwest, you're paying about $169 a square foot versus $198 a square foot in Summerlin. So again, what you're really paying for is you're paying for location, right? Yeah. But if you went out into the Northwest, I mean, you got Sky Canyon. That's a new master plan community. But here's the thing, it's not as established as it is, in Summerlin. But if you're willing to take that gamble, that chance, and if you can see what's to come, right, you're going to get more bang for your buck.
Yeah.
But that's why I say you got to go outside that neighborhood, because you got to see if you like the things around that neighborhood. Does that fit and suit your needs?
Call in now, guys. If you guys have any questions, financing or real estate, we can answer those questions, all your needs. 702-257-5396. Joey, I want to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you live in Henderson, right? Is it Henderson or
Yep.
is it? Okay.
Inspirata.
Inspirata. So obviously you like Henderson. Do you like Summerlin equally? A lot of people don't, there's a big disconnect
Well,
where it's
obviously
like,
he lives in Henderson.
well, but it's the house he's living in. Maybe he wants to choose the house,
So
right?
it's a great question. So I love Inspirata just because I have a 3 and 5-year-old,
Yeah.
right? It's parks and recreation. You have 3 brand new schools out there,
Yeah.
2 charter schools. It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
And the growth is insane right now. So when I bought my house back in 2015-ish, 2016, they had another 8,000 homes that they were building.
Who'd you buy with?
KB.
Oh, nice.
So I bought KB. For me, it was a perfect house for me. At that time, my base price was $290.
Wow.
I got it for $330. Yeah.
Hey, that's great, man.
But you got like you said, you have
Yeah.
to look. You have to be able to look into the future. What is that development going to
Yeah.
look like? Like Sky Canyon. Sky Canyon has master plans all around it that are sprouting up. So that's a great location for the
Yeah.
future. So Inspirata is the same deal. I love it. I see the growth there, and Summerlin is definitely my number one. I love Summerlin just because
See?
I ride bike there. And there's a lot of things like outdoors and hiking and all that stuff that we just talk about. But for me, for price point, I was comfortable
Absolutely.
with Inspirata
that's
because
the
I was
reason.
not because look, I was just starting a family, right? And a lot of my
yeah.
clients are in that same position. They're
Absolutely,
relocating, they're
man.
young families, and they don't want to go ahead and spend $500,000 on a home.
We're all
and,
trying,
and that's a good point. That's where I say that you need to come out here, strap up your boots, right? You need to take a look at everything, and you need to see what fits and suit your needs.
See, a lot of people I talk to live outside of Summerlin because it's so high, right? And the cost is so high. And it's like, well, by the time they find something that they want, they're like, oh, it's Summerlin. And all of a sudden you find out and they're in Vegas or they're in North Vegas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're not in Summerlin. So I was curious because you're an outdoor person. Do you do hiking?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. So you're definitely an outdoor person. So I think people that want to do outdoor, they want to be over there. They
Yeah.
want to be at that fingertips where it's like, I'm walking outside, I see a nice big rock. I'm going to start,
I can go climb it.
It's definitely a view out there
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah, and we talked about this before. I managed Skystone for Woodside Homes.
Yeah.
Right, and that was my backyard. So I love that community. I love that area, and it just really goes based on what your needs are and what your financial threshold is.
Sure.
Right, where you want to be located in the city. And
Talking
Yeah.
about that, I don't know if you know who Beth is. She used to work at that track.
Beth,
Yeah. I'm not too sure what her last name is, but I just seen her today at a different track, but she was at that track. She was actually one of the sales agent that I sold a home to that was across the street from that one guy that you had to deal with. But I don't want to put it on air.
Oh,
though.
yeah, I'm not gonna say his name.
Yeah. That's probably a good idea. But
there's a lot of information that needs to be cleared up there. So let's go back. So you were talking about a lot of these buyers, and I think a lot of people want to see what are you experiencing and what are these people experiencing? We just got somebody into contract, so we got a lot of stuff happening right now. And so, going into it, knowing the position, obviously you can't call the seller, but is that sometimes like you're kind of, hey, you know what? I'm going to feel it out a little bit with certain things. I mean, how does that work through the process?
I always dig for information.
Okay.
Right. There's no line for me. Right. So because you never know who's on the other end. So sometimes the seller or the listing agent will say, hey, look, you know what? I got 3 offers and 350 or 400 is the highest.
So how's this conversation taking place? You're like, any offers?
100%. Right at them.
Is it really?
Absolutely. Why not?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
But you can't say like, hey, are they asking for closing costs, or is that doesn't happen, right?
All the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can be like, hey, did this offer come in with closing costs?
Yeah. Listen, if you don't ask the question, you're not going to get an answer.
Yeah. But there are some agents that won't even tell you anything, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. It just happened to me yesterday.
Yeah.
So she was like, hey, listen, you know what? I'm just not authorized to give that information. But some agents will just say, hey, look, you know what? I'm not going to waste your time. I have 3-4 offers. This is the highest, and this is where you need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Don't waste the paper if not.
Now, are you also asking what the position is of the seller? Because I know sometimes when you do ask that, the listing agent will ask what's the position of your buyer too as well.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you have the listing agent and also the buyer's agent. They're trying to work together to put the deal together. And what they try to do is try to figure each other out first, because sometimes they want to do this up front to see if the deal's going to work out. Because if it's not going to work out, they don't want to go into escrow because it's a waste of time for everybody. And I think that's what agents like to do, is kind of really procure the deal, extract the information, and see how we can piece this deal together.
Are they getting what they're expecting though? Like, so let's say, hey, you know what? I see this house, and you know, you do the comps, right? You guys do comps. Make sure that you're not getting into something that's just way out of whack, you know. But then they're like, the seller comes back, is like, well, I think I want to try to put 25 on top of what you think it is. So your comps come back and it's, you know, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 less. Are they willing to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to kind of come down, or they're going to be like, you know what, we're just going to see what happens. If it's an appraisal, we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, so it's always subject to appraisal.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're at that impasse, you're like, look, you know what? All right, if it's 500 and it's only comping out at 475, hey, look, you know what? Let's roll the dice, 500, and we'll just, you know, subject to appraisal. If it doesn't appraise, then we cancel it or renegotiate down to a lower price.
So what happens when you're working on the buying side and you get the appraisal done, right? It comes back and it's actually lower. So what happens from there? I mean, how do you convince the seller, hey, drop this thing down by $25,000 because this is what it appraises at?
Well, look, the buyer is not going to get approved for any more, right?
Yeah.
The lender, right, is not gonna lend you $500,000 or $25,000 more on that house if it's not comping out on that appraisal. Am I right?
You're absolutely correct. Now, in some cases, you got people that are like, you know what, it comes in, hey, we won't lower it. You're going to just have to come out with the difference. And they put it in the verbiage sometimes as, it's up to the seller if they want to move forward or not based upon the appraisal. So that's something to look at.
I mean, and that's a very unique situation because somebody's not going to want to overpay for that property unless they absolutely love it and they have to have it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have the financial means to do it.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Well, can't you do a second loan, Dan?
A second loan?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like a first, a second, a third?
Yeah. You can't do that?
Oh, no. I don't
Let me get a second for 25.
We can actually do that, but it's not something we try to practice, or at least I try to practice. There's some jumbo products that's out there that actually are pretty slick.
We were in a situation with that.
Yeah. Not so much though where it's like, hey, it's under, you know, conforming loan limits. I mean, nobody's going to really, you can't get a loan like that. So why would you try to broker it out like that? I mean, I guess you could, but you know, so for me, most of that stuff comes at jumbo, but yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think the appraisal is the big point as far as a starting point, like saying, you know, how do you write the contract? I think a lot of people too, they don't want to lose money, and everybody's fighting to get top dollar,
every dollar,
every penny, you know, every penny they can, you know, not doing this, I'm going to pay for this, you know, it's just,
and so then going back to like the highest and best situations too, like a lot of the sellers will look at it and say, okay, you know, you are bidding above that list price, but they already know they're probably going to have to come down if it doesn't appraise, so it might not be the best deal for them.
But that also benefits them because the reason why they do that, they try to maximize as much as they can, because here's the thing, the appraiser, when he goes out there, he does not want to be the guy that stamps approval and says this thing is not going to appraise. So he's going to try to get it appraised as much as he can. So that really does help out the seller. Now, if it doesn't appraise, what normally I like to do is go back to the seller and explain to him, like, look, there's an appraisal file number attached to this thing. No matter if you throw this thing back on the market, FHA, VA, or conventional, another appraiser is going to see it's been attached. And once they see that, they're not going to overrule that and say it's worth more money. So at the end of the day, you know, I normally go back to the seller and say, hey, look, you might as well drop this, right?
Yeah.
Down to the price, because you're going to throw it back on the market. You're just wasting time.
So you had all these topics, and I just want to kind of let you kind of end the show here a little bit. We got about 5 minutes. I want you to kind of talk to us and talk to the audience about some other challenges that's been going on and maybe some of the stuff you kind of put in here. I mean, let's talk a little bit about what you know, the whole people coming out of state, you know, some of the challenges like we talked that you're going through.
I think it's a great thing. You know, and I don't want to be, you know, the cheerleader, you know, for the Las Vegas market and the whole thing. And like there's nothing wrong, you know, but I want really people to understand and kind of see past, you know, this whole COVID situation, right? Because a lot of the people that we deal with have had plans to move out here for a long time, and those plans maybe got paused, right? Or, you know, they just say, hey, look, you know, I just need to push my timeline just a little bit further out. but a lot of people haven't changed their plans, right? So what's happening now is now that they eased, the market's just picking back up again, right? So I don't think that this market's going to retract. I think the retraction already happened. You know, we might see something, you know, later on down the road. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, right? I'm not an analyst, but just the activity in the market shows that we are in a strong market. There's inventory. There's a great inventory out there. If you're coming here to Las Vegas and you want to buy a home, think about it seriously and be ready to make a move, right? If you see a house that you like and it checks all the boxes, if you wait, it's going to be gone.
So you probably should, you know, get approved before you even come out here. You don't want to waste any time if you're really thinking about buying a home.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that, you know, when you look at a lot of the challenges that people face when they're coming from state to state, it's not an easy transition.
No.
You know, you're looking at like a huge life change, and it's always a big concern. Like, I don't want to put my house on the market and sell it in California or East Coast or Dallas, like the guy that just called, or somewhere, and then all of a sudden I'm not approved for a loan, or the house I thought was going to come through, it's not coming through now. And now you're really on the fence. You know, you're like, should I even go out there or shouldn't I come out there? You know, because people want to have security. They want to. Nothing's for sure, but they still want to have where they feel confident.
And this is where it's very important to work with an agent that knows how to structure this type of deal. And these type of deals, we work all the time because all our clients are from out of state. And you want to make that smooth transition.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, you deal with a lot of people, Joey, and I can tell you, you know, your whole hand-holding process, I see it. I don't even have to, like, ask anybody. I can see it, that you really take care of people. I think you really care about what's going on. So I think it's a really good thing. You know, you brought up a lot of good topics today, you know, a lot of good points about what's happening. People want to know. You know, I get questions all the time. You know, what's happening post-COVID? I mean, it's not, COVID's still around, but we are starting to see things flow again. And I think when you start to see the economy, is it the same economy before this whole thing came down with COVID?
I mean, I don't think it's the same economy, right? But I think we are gaining traction now that things are starting to open up.
Yeah.
Right. People are out. I was out last night with my sister, went to dinner. And
Where'd you go?
Went to Mas Por Favor.
Okay.
In Spring Mountain.
Did you wear a mask? No.
I did not. I'm not a mask kind of guy. I don't know. I just wash my hands a lot.
It's a touchy topic. We got about 3 minutes. So yeah, so you had to
but people are out, you know, people are out there doing their thing. You know, they're back at work. Businesses are doing really well right now for the ones that are open. But, you know, I want to touch on this. I want to close on this. You know, if we have our callers, people calling in, right, and you're looking for our services, the pre-approval or proof of funds is essential. We really need that in hand because we don't want to put the cart before the horse and waste a lot of time, right? We need to know that you're approved and everything else. And a lot of people, when we set these appointments, are going to require that for us to enter their homes.
Yes.
So, you know, some people get offended by it, you know, but it's one of those things that's very, very important that we have that in hand, that you're a qualified buyer and that we have that on file. So when we're ready to place that offer, we don't have to go find the pre-approval, or, you know, maybe you're missing a tax document or something that it might take a little bit of time. We're already prepared. We can submit the offer and we can go after the property.
And if you're not ready to buy until 6 months, you need to get that anyway. So that way we're looking at the correct properties, right?
Absolutely. I always say to everybody, you know, I talk to a lot of people too. I might be a little biased, you know, with being a lender because I work with guarantee rate, but I always say it's never too soon to start the application process, because if you have something wrong with your credit, everybody's always like, well, I don't want to pull credit. Well, guys, listen, you're going to have to pull credit. We're not saying go pull credit at 10 or 15 different places. Pull it one time. See what's out there. See what's going on. Anytime you pull it after that, the first 30 days, it's a soft pull. Let's say you wanted to get a second opinion. So you really got to do your homework. I really want people to understand that it's not going to affect you where your credit score drops 40 points because the lender pulled your credit report. Got about 2 minutes. What else do you want to say, Joey?
So, and getting that pre-approval early on, because you might have an idea that you can only afford maybe $300,000.
Yeah.
And then you get that pre-approval, then all of a sudden you just got bumped up 50 or 75,000, which opens up a tremendous amount of opportunity out there. More properties.
You make a good point too, because interest rates have dropped. So what that means is now you can purchase more home. Your purchasing power is that much greater.
Great point. Great point. Yeah, rates are phenomenal right now. And
what are the rates right now?
1.2, right? You said?
Oh yeah. No, we're negative status right
We're
now.
just playing around. We're just playing around. That's not correct.
Isn't there a country out there with negative interest rates right now?
Yeah, I think it's Europe, isn't it?
No, I don't know if it's Europe. I think it's Japan. No, is it Japan?
I don't know.
I don't know. One of those countries are, but go back to what we're talking about. Yes, it does increase your purchasing power.
Yeah.
Rates are phenomenal. People are refinancing. I think a lot of people are looking to refinance their home, and going into a forbearance doesn't eliminate you. If you have a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan, you can turn around and refinance your loan. It's like I said, it's a Band-Aid because the market stopped, right? And everything kind of was as a freeze, and we're back up and going. So they don't want to long-term affect you. Just like the caller said, it does not affect your credit score. They're aware of it, but it doesn't affect your score at all, and it doesn't affect you on a long-term basis. So it's really good. So anything else, Joey? Any last comments?
That's it. If you're looking to move to Las Vegas, make sure you give us a call.
Yeah.
Visit lvhomeexperts.com.
All right, guys. So thank you again. We'll be back next week every Saturday from 6 to 7. This is Dan French. I'm with Chakits Krulsawat. Joey Andron visited.